You just got a new Tesla and you're pretty darn excited about it. Now imagine someone's like, nice Tesla there, buddy, but we won't let you drive it because there's a war going on in Ukraine. Wait, what? In today's video, we'll talk about how Switzerland is considering banning EVs because of energy shortages. We'll also talk a little bit about the Apple car, so make sure to stay until the end to learn all about it. First up, got a Tesla? Too bad. Here's what's happening. EVs in Switzerland could be restricted from driving everywhere, or worse, their use could be totally restricted. Yeah, that's kinda crazy, isn't it? How will folks who absolutely need to commute? The problem is, the neutral nation is kinda going through an energy shortage right now, and well, this is how they feel they can fix the problem. And what's causing those energy shortages? It's that darn war in Ukraine. This particular war is causing a bit too many problems for the global economy, isn't it? Anyway, as a solution to this potential problem, the Swiss government is thinking of limiting the use of electric cars, especially during electricity shortages. They fully expect it to be a problem, considering the whole situation with Russia right now. Now, that's not all actually. This EV restriction is a part of a full-fledged austerity package that includes a bunch of other things as well. For example, the Swiss are encouraged to not run their washing machines at temperatures too high or too low. Basically anything that uses electricity. And if that wasn't enough, they're also considering banning the use of leaf blowers and seat heaters on ski lifts. Okay, we can live with that, but there's one measurement that they've suggested which we just can't live with whatsoever. They're considering slowing video streaming to standard definition. Really? 480p? That's pathetic. At least cap it at 720p. We're not used to such low resolutions anymore. This isn't 2008 now, is it? This is where we wish Netflix had a download feature for TVs and laptops. Next up, when will this start? These power restrictions are only at the draft stage right now. There's no timetable for when they'll be implemented. Oh, and this EV limit thing is something they plan to save up for the most extreme power saving. Kind of a DEFCON 2 situation when all measures have been taken and there's still a shortage, so it's probably never gonna happen, hopefully. Most of the electricity in Switzerland comes from hydrogeneration, you know, dams and stuff, but production then slows in the winter months. This is where things get problematic, because then the European nation must rely on France and Germany for importing energy, but the two nations are themselves going through a massive crunch, so there's no telling what's gonna happen next. See, the problem is natural gas is a key source of energy in France and Germany, and who happens to be one of the world's largest producers of natural gas? Yep, you got it right, it's Russia. Now here's the problem, Russia invaded Ukraine and it was totally uncalled for. So now the nation has been sanctioned and, well, they can't buy natural gas from them anymore. It doesn't look good for EVs anywhere in the world right now, to be honest. These green little cars were supposed to be our saviors, they were supposed to stop climate change, but the Swiss move comes just months after California's EV owners were urged to not charge their cars because of a heat wave. The grid literally couldn't handle it all, so maybe we're not ready for EVs, but at the same time, oil's gonna run out eventually, so what's the solution? Do let us know in the comments what you think. Moving on, instead of a ban, you might just have to drive slower. While the government is considering a restriction on private EVs, they might just urge users to lower their speed. Well, the government will lower the speed limit themselves, so it's not like the drivers won't have a choice. And it makes sense, right? Like, you just don't flat out your car, and it won't consume as much electricity. In 2021, around 10% of cars in Switzerland were EVs, and around 8% were plug-in hybrid vehicles. We're only gonna mention these two categories since they're the only ones that need to be charged. Anyway, 18% is a huge figure, so if 18% of cars in the country drive slower than usual, that could end up saving a ton of energy. According to the draft paper for this proposal, the private use of electric cars is only permitted for absolutely necessary journeys, for example, professional practice, shopping, visiting the doctor, attending religious events, or attending court appointments. And then you add the lower speed limit to this, and we really do think the country's gonna save energy. And Switzerland isn't alone. Germany has also developed a plan to save energy. Spain even reported a 4% drop in electricity use in the first week after implementing restrictions in August. These restrictions in Spain are going to last until November 2023 unless things get worse. Germany is also doing a trial for 6 months, and this includes restrictions on the heating of pools. The government has also recommended that heating in buildings should be set at 19 degrees Celsius. Yikes, that's kinda chilly, isn't it? Also, the German plan doesn't seem as crazy as is the Swiss plan. Lastly, this is just for emergency situations. Seriously folks, the Swiss government isn't going to take your cars away. These measures are only going to be put in place if these things get super out of hand. Before the power emergency reaches this level, folks would be asked to limit the temperature of the water in their washing machines to 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Luxurious items would be banned from use, and one example of that would be things like patio heaters. Oh, and if this whole thing does go into effect, the Swiss government has stated that these measures would be readjusted, considering the need of the moment. So it's not as if you'll have to live like this for the rest of your life. If the whole EV thing does end up happening though, it would make Switzerland the first ever country in the world to impose driving restrictions on EVs. Things are kind of starting to get out of hand here, because the price of electricity has gotten so high in Germany that the Volkswagen boss has stated that Europe could lose its competitive advantage to Asia, North Africa, and North America. So maybe this is the time to take the energy crisis a little bit more seriously? Oh, and if you're in Switzerland and you're trying to buy a Tesla, we'd say maybe wait and see for a couple of months. Next segment. While we just talked about how EVs might get banned, it doesn't seem appropriate that we're moving on to talk about an electric car. But we can't not talk about it. It's one of the most anticipated cars in the world, the Apple car. Disclaimer, seats are sold separately. Kidding, of course. First and foremost, Apple's EV might not be a fully self-driving car. Apple made a bit too many promises, and now it seems like the company's unable to keep them. It's started to scale back on its plans for an electric car. The project, which is called Project Titan, a super cool name by the way, will no longer be working to make a fully self-driving machine. Just like any other boring car, it'll have a conventional wheel and pedals, and it'll only drive itself on the highways. The California-based company has also pushed the launch back to 2026. According to some rumors, this so-called game-changing car will offer enough autonomy that you can play games and Netflix while on the highway. But as soon as you're on the streets, it'll ask you to drive. Or if you're on the highway and the weather starts getting kind of bad, oh, and this tech will probably be introduced in North America at the start. They'll later expand access, but we aren't all sure of the timeline. As expected though, Apple hasn't made any comments on the matter. All we know is Titan has been in development for years and that it has suffered several setbacks. They've even shifted strategy multiple times. Maybe the company should really just stick to making phones. And we're not the only ones who think this way. The tech firm itself had doubts as early as 2015 about the whole thing, and then there were executive shuffles and layoffs which slowed the project down even further. The company has now returned to making a full, proper car, but now it's having issues with getting production help from brands like Hyundai. Finishing up, so we're not getting a fully self-driving car? It seems like the company's moving towards more modest ambitions now, and that does make sense. Full level 5 autonomy really isn't practical, and even then these cars can only operate under good weather. Then, of course, there's the issue of legal permissions. Yes, the folks in Washington are open up to the idea of self-driving cars. We just don't have a proper framework to make it happen. Even if Apple does solve these challenges, it really does seem like they could sell a truly hands-off car anytime soon. That's a wrap for this video, my friends. Do you folks think that the use of EVs will be restricted in Switzerland? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.